call this meeting of the Olney City Council, August 25th, 2025 to order. Please rise and say the Pledge of Allegiance and remain standing as the Reverend Steve Wiggins says our opening prayer. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Dear God in heaven, thank you for an absolutely glorious day. So beautiful. Thank you for that. God, thank you for our citizens, the community, the leadership. Pray you will just give us all wisdom and guidance. We pray in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen. Hallelujah.
Call the roll, please.
Councilman Miller,
Present.
Councilman Fehrenbacher,
Here.
Councilwoman Eichhorst,
Present.
Councilman Iyer,
Present.
Mayor Lambert.
Here. First item on the agenda is public comments and presentations. Are there any public comments or presentations outside the bounds of the regular agenda? Any public comments? Seeing none, we'll proceed on to the presentation of the consent agenda, which includes to approve minutes of the council meeting on August 11th, special, August 11th regular, August 14th special, 2025. Approve and authorize payments of accounts payable, August 26th, 2025. Raffle license from the St. Joseph Church and a raffle license from the USBC, which is the United States Bowling League. Any of these items need to be removed from the consent agenda. I would accept a motion to approve the consent agenda.
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Motion made and seconded. All those in favor, aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, nay. Motion passes. Next item on the agenda under presentation of ordinances, resolutions. It's a request for a Class S liquor license for the BPOE Elks Lodge number 926 for the 25-26 liquor license year. There is no one here with the Elks Lodge. It's my understanding that this would be for the Blues Festival primarily.
Yes, that's the first event.
Okay. Questions, comments, motion to approve?
Motion.
Second?
Second.
All those in favor, aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, nay. Motion passes. Next item on the agenda, discussion for fencing for the north side of Musgrove Park Playground. Mr. Parker.
A couple of meetings ago, we had a request for consideration of fencing at Musgrove around the, Together with Playground, between the playground area and the, Mack Avenue. And we do have those, an estimate of $7,200. I've not spoken to the people that, was interested in that, and it was, Councilman Fehrenbacher that may have some further comment on that.
No, I just think, it's a great idea and it should, in my opinion, I think something we probably should have looked at several years ago. And, you know, if it was at the city park, I would have probably said, well, why don't we just wait till the next year's budget? But I think with it being a safety issue and now that it's in the public awareness, it would be optimal if possible that we find a way to fit it in this year.
As I also recall, the gal that was here thought they could raise some funds for this as well. Anything on that?
I don't think she had mentioned that. I mean, I think she was, you're right, she did, I'm sorry. She did mention that.
Yeah.
You're right, she did, now that I remember. So, but I don't know, should we ask this of the public? I mean, I feel like if this is a public park and something to do with safety, I just feel like it is a municipal responsibility.
Well, I took another eye on it, and it's considerably far from the roadway. I mean, it's not like it's right next to the sidewalk. It's gotta be
It's
30, 40 yards?
126 feet.
Okay, 40 yards, so it's pretty far over there, and it's been in existence, you know, in the current arrangement for several years with no incident.
Yes. You know, in her case, and a lot of people's case, when you have multiple children, they can scatter on you potentially, and, you know, part of what's nice about being in a park is that when you're in a confined space, it's much more easy to manage children, period. And I don't think that we would necessarily be doing this in the favor of Mrs. Easton, who made the request.
If, to be ultimately safe, yes, it should have maybe a fence on that end, on the north side. I'm curious about just this is an estimate versus send it out for bids or quotes or from someone else. This seems a tad high to me. And they itemized it with like nothing. I don't know how many feet of fence it is. I don't know, the price per gate. It just comes in with labor and everything, all parts, $7,200. And if we're gonna approve for purchase, I would certainly like to see at the minimum an itemized statement, and I would be curious about if anyone else could come up with a bid as well for that. Having had no experience with installing fencing, I don't know if this is a reasonable rate or not, but just my thoughts like that seem kinda high, but maybe there's more footage there than I expect. Do we know how many feet this would be?
We measure it.
200.
It is 200 feet, that's pretty long, that's further than I would have thought, okay.
Me too.
360.
I'm sure it would be more next year and the year after if we were to do it.
I have to say that I like parks open, that they're not really enclosed and shut off. I know this could be a safety thing, but it's just like, I like open areas for a park.
When my children were small, we would go to the park, go to the swings. I'm always right there.
Yeah.
The only thing that would, well, I'll just say, I don't know that the city's responsibility is to bring a daycare into compliance with their daycare state rules. Myself. Now, if we wanted to go back with the daycare owners and they say, hey, we'll pay 60% of that or whatever, I might be more apt to be a yes, but just right now, looking at the price and having it 126 feet from Mac Avenue, I'm most likely a no, myself.
Would we like to go back to them and ask if they have any willingness to be a part of this project in terms of financing?
Well, I'm remiss in not knowing the specific comment that she made, but I would be more curious on what was said and if she would be, I thought there was something said that they might be able to raise some funds towards that. And since she is a non-city entity that really is using that for their, exercise program, it might behoove them to contribute towards what they had requested. And at the very least, if we go forward, we've already adjusted the budget already this year. We're only 3 months in, so if it could be pushed until perhaps next year's budget, at the very least.
All right, well, we can reach back out to her, see if she would be willing to do so, and perhaps push this out to next year.
Okay, let's get a hold of her and see if they have any willingness to put any money in. Then we'll go from there.
So if she comes back and says we would like to pay 30-40% and it takes it down, I don't know, let's just say.
So we might have to take it down about 5. Yeah.
Yeah, so something acceptable.
Yeah.
It might encourage her to do it since it would speed up the process instead of having to wait till next year. Would that be an incentive maybe just to say, we can fit it into this year if you are willing to contribute a certain amount?
Will be considered.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yes, we certainly will consider it.
All right, next item on the agenda is a discussion of possible ordinance to amend section 12.120 swimming pool fees of the City of Olney Municipal Code. Councilman Fehrenbacher.
Joe had reached out to me to ask if he could sponsor a free pool day sometime in the next season. And he, from what he had said, is that we needed to discuss it somehow to figure out what an actual flat fee would be to pay for a free day so that he could donate that. I don't know
How many hours?
well, just a
It's
full
like
day.
5,
How long?
1 to 6, it says.
5 hours?
Yeah.
Do we have a rough idea of what the operating costs are for a day?
Not for a day, but for the year, they run, about $164,000, and that does not include utilities, cause they're in with the whole ballpark, and, doesn't include any insurance. Actually, it's $149,000 with no utilities and no insurance and no capital spending for that year. Last year, we took in about 75,000 on fees.
We have a daily revenue average.
I haven't looked at each day, no, but it depends on the weather, and sometimes the pool closes early for swim meets, or it's not open for swim meets on Saturdays and different things, so.
Some days are gonna be busier than other days also, just because I think Saturdays would be very busy at a pool.
Well, what if we took total days that were open this year and, well, total revenue divided by the total days that were open this year and divided by that, call it the flat fee for the day? If somebody has a better methodology, I'm open.
Gonna be
You are
any-
charging $300 to have a private party for 2 hours.
Okay.
And how many hours is the pool open a day?
It's open, I mean, in the morning, starting at 6 AM, is that right, Kelsey? 6 in the morning sometimes.
I don't know what time it starts, but yeah, it starts with the lap swim.
No,
Less
that's just,
swim
That's
lessons.
how much we made.
somewhere to go. 75,000 is what the revenue
Do we
was.
really
So
need to-
$833.33
It's 75,000 divided by 9,
per day.
which is also very similar to the cost for
Would
2
be.
hours times 3.
$900, yeah.
Or two, yeah, 150, and like the line above the requested line, 150 per hour for a minimum of 2
No,
hours.
I think we
Do
should
we
understand, I
anticipate
think we
increase
should
in the
also,
next year for
though,
chemical
understand
prices or
what
anything?
the intention of this is to add additional free swim days, cause the
Yes.
city does too, correct?
Do they still do those, Kelsey?
So we do
Opening
too,
days
so
free,
this, I think the intention here would be to add at least 2 more to where the community could have free swim days. Now, we don't charge ourselves at all for those 2 free swim days. Now then, they are wanting to charge something for these, so I mean, I suspect something reasonable would be
Prudent,
prudent.
yes. I'm for it.
I mean, the swimming pool is not going to be a revenue source for the city. It is a service that we provide.
So we knocked the $750 for the 5 hours down to 500?
500 came to mind as well.
Me too.
Say an even 5, and yeah, it's coming from a citizen's or an organization's pocket, and we, nice to have another day for the kids.
Can I make a motion for that to be $500 per 5-hour day?
500, is there a second?
Second.
Motion made and seconded. Is there any further discussion? Further discussion? Seeing none, we'll proceed to vote. All those in favor, aye?
Aye.
Those opposed, nay. Motion passes. Next item on the agenda is discussion and possible action recognition plaque in the Musgrove Park in honor of the Musgrove family. Councilman Iron.
This was brought up by past Councilman Schaefer, councilpersons. And this is the memorial there by the north side of the the west side of the swimming pool. And I'm not sure why we're missing one of the plaques down on the lower end there. But if we were to perhaps move the second row friends and move it down to the blank spot, not wanting to discount whoever was there, if there ever was something there. And it would allow us one space there to perhaps at least recognize why are we even honoring the Musgroves? I mean, their name is there, and but it really doesn't say why. I mean, what happened to them? So it would be nice to mention that this park exists because of their generous donation of their land towards it. I would certainly be in favor of that. I'm not interested in recognizing the council around that necessarily, but I believe the Musgroves, definitely in their generosity, should be recognized. Their name is there, but not why.
I'm sorry. There was, I don't know what I was doing with those.
Mayor, hoarding the photos.
I wasn't.
I've seen
Thank you.
To
I
look at
have
those
to.
like those are all the same.
Now, the main thrust of the letter, his intention was to recognize the council at that time.
Well, that was it, perhaps in addition to, as well as the Musgroves, but I certainly would be in favor of mentioning,
Musgroves.
or acknowledging, recognizing the Musgroves' generous donation for the whole park.
Have you spoken to him?
No.
So mean, I would assume that people would see that it is Musgrove Park and blazoned upon the entrance of the park, that it says the Monty Musgrove Aquatic Center as you walk into the pool. What else do
But
we need?
did
What else,
Monty-
I mean, but what else are you thinking?
Well, sometimes there's tragedies. Did Monty Musgrove drown in this pool, and so we're gonna name it in honorarium? Or sometimes you see a bridge named after a war hero. I mean, things they died in action. I mean,
Well, that's,
you really
I mean,
don't
I'm
know
just,
why.
what all do we say on the plaque?
Just say that this park was
Generous donation.
generous donation of, it looks like it's less than 1 acre for the Kinsler Veterinary Clinic. It's 53 acres. And I don't know if that was in 2 chunks. It's broken up into 3 parcels, a 33 acre parcel and a 19 acre parcel. And then the last purchase there on the corner's 0.95. I don't know if that came in 2 chunks or it was all in 1 chunk, but just say that this park of 53 acres was the generous donation of Alvin and Winona Musgrove. And
Would you
I
wanna
think
put it
we-
under that sign? That's at the entrance.
Yeah, could be easily, but you know, this one already has a spot.
I think there is a plaque that was there.
It
I
looks
think
like
there
it.
was a plaque of somebody's
was
picture on
damaged.
it, if I remember.
Oh,
Well, that's, yeah, Alvin and Winona's pictures.
it's on the
Was
other
it on
side.
that one?
On the other
It's
side
on the
of
other
these,
side.
it's on the
Oh,
other
it's
side.
on the other side, okay.
It's on the other side. I don't even know if we knew where these
That
were
was out there
acquired.
for a long time.
It's been there for quite a while, no question.
Well, I meant that plaque, it had fallen off and it was out there somewhere.
Actually did speak to Mayor Henby this weekend and mentioned this, and he didn't care either way if he was mentioned, if his
Yeah, I don't think
Yeah.
that's the intent. I believe the Musgrove should be recognized. It was a very generous donation, and it's a wonderfully utilized park. And even if we wanted to replace the missing, whatever that plaque was, if somebody was concerned, hey, what happened to our sponsor's plaque or whatever, the one on the second row that just says Alva and Winona Musgrove, that could be replaced, and we might even add to that very plaque and just engrave underneath it, donation of so-and-so acres for this park and so-and-so here, and boom,
could.
we're done. I think that's even more practical.
Shall we
Practical.
explore what that costs?
Sure.
I'm guessing that Adams can come take that off and
Yeah, they
do
could
it
knock it
fairly
out.
cheap,
Yeah,
especially if you take it to them.
we might even have them donate their opportunity for a little advertising. Courtesy of so-and-so Adams. Yeah. I'll look into it. I'll ask them.
All right. Next item on the agenda. Discussion of possible action to authorize solicitation of bids for Eastgate Storm Sewer Project and materials. Mr. Barker.
In the current budget, we have budgeted for material only to, repair Eastgate storm sewer. And our street department thinks they, sure they can, do the labor. We'll go ahead and buy the materials. So what we're asking is, you go ahead and get bids on the materials, get the materials, do the work ourselves.
Questions, comments? What are we estimating this will cost, Mr. Bridges? $100,000? And that's just material? Questions, comments?
badly needed,
Yeah.
for sure.
I would accept a bid as such, or a motion as such.
I'll make it.
Second.
Second.
Motion made and seconded. All those in favor, aye?
Aye.
Those opposed, nay. Motion passes. Next item on the agenda is an ordinance to amend Title 17 zoning of the City of Olney Municipal Code. Before you, there is an ordinance that is more closely aligned with state statute. In fact, it is what state statute does prescribe when it comes to cannabis dispensaries and other activities in that realm. Our original ordinance that was passed and it was suggested by IML at the very beginning of when this became legal. It was fairly restrictive as to where these could be placed. So this would just clean that up and follow state statute. Questions, comments?
We had some guests that would like to speak on the topic in general. I explained to them it's not a up or down vote on whether there would be a facility here, but rather not the topic and some, the general topic that the public needs to be aware of.
Indeed.
Yeah, after you.
Hi, my name's Jamie O'Neill. And over the last 6 years, I've been working to help people in substance use disorders. And, I know that it's not an option of whether a marijuana dispensary comes to Olney, but where it's placed is, at the topic at hand. I have brought together some statistics that I would like to read. The Kansas City Federal Reserve did a study on the effects of dispensaries and concluded the following: that substance abuse mortality rates increased 17%, homelessness increased 35%. Now, on a personal level, since 2019, I have been a part of a sober living home, and I have seen that happen over and over and over again. People will choose to smoke marijuana instead of having a safe place to live. They will choose to smoke marijuana instead of having a job. I have seen personally homelessness increase based on marijuana use. There are increased rates of DUI, domestic disputes, disorderly conduct, traffic fatalities. Communities experience loss of job force and lower work activity. That is something that I continually see on a daily basis of people coming to work. People that smoke marijuana and come to work. Their work activity is decreased. Their forgetfulness and their ability to do their job, inability to do their job increases. The city tax revenue from smoke shops and liquor stores also decreases with marijuana dispensaries. According to the National Institute on Drug Abuse, 19% of teen drivers reported driving under the influence of marijuana. Marijuana is the most common illicit drug found in drivers who die in accidents. Marijuana puts people at risk for mental illness, anxiety, and depression. I have personally firsthand seen that over and over and over again. The anxiety that comes with marijuana use, the depression, the inability to hold good jobs, and I've seen people become dependent upon it, young users. The CDC states that 3 out of 10 people who use cannabis develop cannabis use disorder. Cannabis use has been linked to increased mental health issues, including depression, anxiety, suicide planning, psychosis, and schizophrenia. And I have personally seen episodes of this within the sober living home. I have seen people freak out. I've seen the police having to be called because their schizophrenia increased due to the use of marijuana. Cannabis directly affects the parts of the brain responsible for memory, learning, attention, decision-making, coordination, emotion, and reaction time. And it is very hard when people go to a dispensary, get marijuana, not to smoke it on their way home because they're already not making the best decisions. We would also be bringing people from out of town into our city to purchase the said marijuana. In May of 2025, the Journal of American Association announced 1 in 4 children are currently living with a parent or a caregiver that has moderate or severe substance use disorder. And in my experience, substance use disorder, marijuana is a gateway drug. It actually leads to other and harder things. It leads to gambling, it leads to meth, it leads to all kinds of different drugs, and it leads to homelessness. The children get left behind. And it starts with marijuana. And I have a high schooler that is at this high school. The last thing that I want for him to see is that a marijuana shop on the corner. I don't want him to think that it's okay to normalize marijuana. I know it's a legal thing, but he already isn't able to make the best, greatest decisions because he's not an adult. So to increase the best decision making, I don't want to normalize marijuana close to the schools or the facilities.
I had heard, and I believe this is a stat as well, is that once, years ago, when marijuana was illegal, the THC content was then 1%, and now it's
Yes.
on average up to 35%, which is just, and then you do it multiple times a week, it just compounds the motor skills problem, the anxiety. I know originally they had sold this as a pain reliever, painkiller, and it's what the recent studies show is it's like a horseshoe theory that it provides the short term boost, thrill, pain relief, and then it over time adds to it. So
Yes, it truly increases mental illness, anxiety, and depression. And I have read that even in Colorado, they may have gained, money from the sale of marijuana, but their mental illness and their cost of providing people state funding had increased tremendously. And
a lot of people, when you hear the words gateway drug, that is the biggest cliche. Roll your eyes. No, it's not. I did it back in high school. It's fine. You can quit at any time. But you actually have seen people addicted to the
Yes.
point where and this is not the same thing that it was 20 years ago. So this is just
that's not, people will choose to be homeless and smoke marijuana over holding down a job.
we've seen huge rates of homelessness increase because
Yes.
of it. So thank you for giving awareness.
Anything further?
No.
Questions, comments for them?
Let's see, where do we start? Why are we looking at changing this now?
Because I think it's fairly restrictive, and I guess I would like to point out that, as recently as the early 2000s, Edwards County was a dry county. I don't suspect that there's any more alcoholics in Edwards County now than there was when they didn't allow the sale of alcohol in Edwards County. It is legal. People are going to purchase it, whether they purchase it here, whether they purchase it legally, whether they purchase it illegally. I guess that's where I'm at. We're not going to stop people from doing it simply because you cannot purchase it here. I don't know how many folks leave this community on a daily or weekly basis, but there's a lot. And they're going to continue to leave this community and go do it.
I'd like to note that a lot of our bars are in decline, and I think that has a lot to do with that because of the generational change in what they're using. So I know we're not gonna stop this, and I understand that argument. I think gambling is way worse than this, but I think you can compare it to gambling, is that the closer it is to you, it may be 45 minutes away from you in Carmi, and there is a Carmi than in Edwards County, but it's better to have it further away from our most vulnerable, in my opinion, than closer to them. People with means are definitely gonna get it, but I think in your experience as well, is the closer it is to you, arm reach that you can get it, the more likely you're going to use it.
So, may I ask, and I don't know this, do the folks that you know, are they getting it from the dispensaries, or are they getting it through other means?
No, they're just gonna black market.
I don't ask where they get it.
Okay, I just wondered. I'm assuming that there's a good amount of it that's still being purchased through means that are not necessarily controlled as well as they are at a dispensary. Now, even if we have one here, does it mean those folks are going to purchase at a dispensary? No, it absolutely doesn't. They're still going to find it through other ways, I suspect.
One of my biggest concerns is fentanyl in
Yeah.
illegally purchased marijuana. I'm not a fan of marijuana at all. Not interested at all in marijuana. But I would prefer that someone bought it from a dispensary as buying
Off the street.
fentanyl laced road ditch weeds.
curious, when did this, dispensing organization conditions, when were they added to Title 17? When did this come into play?
We passed this back in 2000 and
It was before my time.
Chelsea.
And was it a council decision, or did this have to go, was it a
No,
referendum
this was the
item?
council approved it.
So the council approved it, so the citizenry didn't, because I think I'm coming from the same place that Bryce is. People have contacted me when they kind of heard something might have been up, and frankly, they said, we don't want a dispensary, period. You know, I don't care to have a dispensary in our town. It is not required by state that we allow a dispensary. We can prohibit the dispensing of marijuana in this community.
Yep, and we've already allowed for it. We allowed for it. Art, do you remember when we allowed for it? When did this, 2017, 18?
But if you pass an ordinance,
19.
can't you repeal that ordinance? I mean, if we really wanted to
I
pursue
mean,
it.
yeah, if you could, if you have the vote, you absolutely can.
Because frankly, I would be for repealing it. I do not want marijuana dispensed in the community. I've traveled through other small towns, Carmi being one, I won't say it's Huntingburg, Indiana, but a small town, and there was a head shop, a dispensary on the square, and it just brought the whole quality of
Was
the
it
atmosphere.
Lawrenceville? Lawrenceville has it.
Was it Lawrence? No, it was on over. Owensville, that's not big enough. On over Indiana. But the wife and I were both surprised to see, because not only the dispensary, and of course there were other ancillary businesses that kind of supported that lifestyle. Matt makes a good point, about illegally purchasing it. We don't know what's in it, but that's been the case for probably since the 1950s. That if people want it, they're going to get it. But I don't want it to, personally, I don't want it to be dispensed at a retail store in Main Street.
One note, it is not illegal on the federal level, so as far as the regulation of it, that's not up to snuff as people think it is. It's not as regulated as what the idea
Federally,
of
it's
it
still
is.
illegal.
Yeah,
It
no,
comes down to the states.
I just wanted to add that point to the conversation.
And the change that we are looking at actually makes it easier for a dispensary to come in. And I was kind of curious, sometimes when we have an ordinance change, we'll have the existing ordinance and then line through in red or added in green or something. It makes it a
We're
lot.
amending literally everything.
Okay,
so.
because it's like, wow, this doesn't, that not lines up exactly. But what really jumps out at me is that the current conditions require 1,500 feet from a school. And the proposed cuts that in a third. It cuts it down to 500 feet. I don't know what an average block is, 300 feet, Mike, you think? And so we're down almost into the next block, whereas before we were at least 3 or 4 blocks away. Now we're within a block, and then into the next block. To me, this makes it easier for a dispensary to come in. And the new request doesn't mention anything about being at any certain distance from a residence, whereas the existing ordinance says it can't be within 250 feet. So if it is changed, it seems like it's more lenient. And even if it does line up more with the state, so we could be more restrictive. I'd like to see it can't be within 20,000 feet of a school. Let's put it completely beyond the possibility of being in our business district. Mayor, would this be a council determination if we want to do something even more drastic with this ordinance?
Oh, it
rather than just not-
absolutely is. I mean, we can do what's proposed here, or you could go the exact opposite direction.
Have we ever sought public opinion on something like this situation? I mean, having
I think every time we have a meeting and the agenda's published, it is the opportunity for folks to come and express their opinion as to what the city council should
True.
do.
But for the ordinance, if I was just looking at the agenda, pull it up online and just said, Title 17, I wouldn't have any association whatsoever with anything to do with marijuana. So to me, this is a little veiled. But if we present it to the public, no, this is regarding this, do we want to even have the opportunity to dispense? We can't say it's illegal. You can do that in the privacy of your home, outside your home. Actually, if you drill down, it's illegal to even smoke inside. You have to smoke outside or smoke inside your house. You can't smoke out in your backyard.
This bothered me several years ago. In 2010, we actually had a ballot referendum over whether or not we wanted to repeal the blue laws, the Sunday sales of alcohol. In 2010, and it passed, my goodness, I think it was like 60, 70%. It was a strong vote against it. And 3 years later, 2013, the council repealed it and just went ahead and went against the public's will. I wouldn't be opposed to a ballot referendum to just settle the issue.
We are elected to represent the public, and I would be curious what the townspeople want. I mean, I'm not for it personally, but if it came back that 85% of the adult public wanted this, I mean, I would have to be, as a conscientious
I would follow the
official,
people's will.
follow the people's will. But just what, now I know I travel in a conservative circle, but most of the people I say, we don't want a dispensary here. And I think there are 100 and, you can write this down, of course, but I believe it was 123 other communities throughout Illinois have, it's not like we'd be the lone ducks. There's others that have prohibited the dispensing of marijuana.
I'd love to hear from the public and
I
a
would like to
ballot
hear-
referendum that's passed.
How would that, if we could put it on the agenda perhaps in the future, but that is more directly, hey, this is about do we want to allow a dispensary to come into Olney or not?
So,
To make it
so
more
this
aware.
was passed several years ago,
2019.
2019, that allowed for it. At that time, I don't know that there was hardly anybody that came to that meeting and voiced their displeasure that we were going to allow it. I think this ordinance is here presented tonight, and if anybody so wishes, we can go ahead and make a motion and move on it, or we can go the other direction as well. Comments?
I would like to table this agenda item and perhaps put on a future agenda specifically requesting public attendance.
Is that a motion?
That is a motion.
Motion to
I make a
table, is there a second?
Second.
Motion made and seconded, any further discussion? Further discussion? All those in favor, aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, nay. Motion passes, we'll table this until our next meeting.
And would therefore would you want to include some sort of more announce to the public that this is regarding a dispensary issues? Now, this is just regarding
just about the
conditions.
ordinance that
This
does
is
our zoning.
This is
so.
just about conditions, but do we, if people don't even want a dispensary, then it kind of makes conditions a moot point.
Like I said, I mean, if you have the votes to say we're not going to do that, we can do that. But I don't know if the votes are there to get rid of it completely.
Well, it might be nice to revisit. I know it's only been 6 years, but it might be nice to revisit. We have virtually a new council here since 1919. I wasn't on, so it is an entirely new council, save for you, Mayor.
That is true.
That
That is absolutely true. All right, next item on the agenda. Report from elected and appointed officials, status report, Mr. Barker.
The only thing I have additional to the status report is the fact that we did receive a permit today for the water line on North Avenue, and we'll be coming to the council, next council meeting with request to take bids for replacing that water line. We had the permit in hand.
Questions, comments from the city manager? Shelley is gone. Chamber of Commerce report.
Tomorrow we have an after hours, the chamber is sponsoring at the Elks from 5 to 7. And on August the 29th, it's our 5th Friday, so the stores will be open late, and, hope everyone comes down.
And
Mhm.
October 31st, we're also gonna do one downtown too, just so people know that.
It's 5th Friday, yes, trunk or treat there.
And have that downtown again on the 31st.
Yeah, that was kind of far out, so I thought I'd
I
wait.
know, I just took
Yeah.
time people. Tourism board report, nothing there. Anything else from any elected appointed officials? I would accept a motion to enter into closed session to discuss the sale or lease price of real property, acquisition of real property, appointment, employment compensation, and performance of specific employees, and litigation matters. Is there